Good evening, everyone. It is so nice to see all of you all out there. You look beautiful on this cloudy, muggy, sleepy evening. You look great. So thank you for joining us. We know you had to deal with the weather and maybe a few other things to get here tonight, but we truly appreciate your presence. The regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Spring Independent School District is officially called to order on Tuesday, February 11th. The time is now 7:02 p.m. Board Trustees present: Winfred Adams Jr., Kelly Hodges, Deborah Jensen, Justine Durant, Jana Gonzalez, Dawn Davis, and myself, Rhonda Newhouse. I would like to ask everyone to turn off or silence your cell phones or any electronic devices that you may have at this time, please. Thank you. Tonight's presentation of the colors will be led by the Leadership Academy LOTC Color Guard. This is our youngest color guard group that we have, and they look very nice. We're happy to have them. So, Captain Davis, will you introduce them for us, please?
My pleasure. Echoing my president just said, tonight we're making history. Tonight, President of Colors will be led by the Spring Leadership Academy LOTC Honor Guard. The pledge will be led by Cadet First Lieutenant Jalicio Hamiro. The Texas pledge will be led by Cadet Ashley Rodriguez. Carrying the U.S. flag in command, Executive Officer Cadet Major Sebastian Degat. Carrying the Texas flag is Cadet First Lieutenant Kevin Guion. The rifleman is Cadet Commander Cadet First Lieutenant Johansson Romero. The left rifle is Cadet Freddie Rock. The Spanish Academy is under the leadership of Tech Sergeant Rhonda Hamir. At this time, everyone, please rise for the pledge, and please remain standing after they finish the pledge. Thank you.
Forward, march. Tito, ready, forward. Tito, present, arms.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Arms. Post. Colors. Face. Forward. March.
That's ready to go. Good job.
Thank you. At this time, I ask that we quietly observe a moment of silence in your own way. Thank you.
Madam President, President, please record. I just want to just thank my colleagues for approving OTC at our middle school. This is the product of our programs look like in the future at our high schools. It is so important that we have leadership programs at our middle schools that can change to the Westfield, the Caneys, and the spring programs. So thank you all for including that as part of your conversation last year. This is just the beginning, so I just want to take that personal privilege being this is one of my props, Joe. I had to just make that comment. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to hear from our superintendent with superintendent remarks. So I will recognize our superintendent, Dr. Rodney Watson.
Thank you, President Newhouse, and good evening, trustees and all of our guests in the audience. We do have several announcements I'd like to update you all on for tonight. First, I want to open this evening by recognizing that it is Black History Month. We've been celebrating this month across the district with a focus on key figures during the Jazz Age and the Harlem Renaissance. This Thursday, we're holding a special district expo at Robertson Middle School to showcase the creativity of our scholars, as well as their oratory skills. The event will begin at 6 p.m., and I'd like to encourage everyone here to attend. I guarantee you're going to see some amazing talents that our students will be showing. In addition to that, this past Friday night, Dr. Hinojosa and I and several of our principals had the opportunity to go to the annual HAPSI Awards. So I want to congratulate the 21 Spring ISD teachers recognized last week by the Houston Area Alliance of Black School Educators. One of our teachers, Candace Jackson, from Twin Creeks Middle School, was selected as the HAPSI Secondary Teacher of the Year, which received a $1,000 monetary prize. Let's give her a round of applause. In addition to that, some of you all may have seen on our social media pages that our Curriculum and Instruction Department coordinated and hosted a Catalyst Classroom visit last Thursday, February the 6th. About 48 teachers, including representatives from other district schools, Spearman ISD and Victoria ISD, got together to see a blended learning process in action during classroom walks at Beneke, Ponderosa, Reynolds Elementary School, and Robertson Middle School. The district and these 4 schools have been working all year with Engage to Learn on implementing what we call empowered learning. It's a blended learning approach that combines face-to-face instruction with digital learning. This model was developed for spring with input from our community members. If you remember last year, we had several engagements at various schools where we solicited community feedback, as well as administrators and staff to help keep the program going. Many of our principals were able to go on to classroom tours and learn from their examples that the students and the teachers demonstrated. We really plan to roll out this model as we're looking at more blended learning opportunities throughout the district. Last week, at our board work session, we reviewed our TAPER report, or otherwise known as our Texas Academic Performance Report for 2018-19. This report gave us an opportunity to look in the rearview mirror, but it's also important that we're looking at how we're measuring our performance in terms of student achievement. Of course, anytime you do a deep dive into the data, there are going to be areas that we know that we need to pay more attention to. As Dr. Jensen pointed out last week, we need to work harder at getting our students to achieve at least a 3 or better on our AP exams. We also need to work harder at improving how our students are doing in science. We're also going to focus on improving equity in our student achievement so all students are making progress. We want to thank all of our Board of Trustees for asking the difficult questions and holding us to a standard of excellence for our district. Time is running out for our annual Fun Run and Wellness Fair. Hopefully all of you have already signed up. I know Ms. Newhouse was ready to go already, so we want to make sure that everyone is signed up. The early bird pricing for our annual Fun Run and Wellness Fair is almost up. Hundreds of people took part in this event last year, and as you all know through our social media, it was a huge success, raising thousands of dollars for our student scholarships. We're hoping to get even more participation this year to raise more money, so please take a few moments. If you all in the audience have not signed up, please take a moment to sign up. And you can find all that information on our website at www.springisd.org. I want to give some shout-outs to schools and departments that are really doing a great job recruiting. We have Cooper Elementary that has about 50 students and staff signed up. And I know there's a lot more schools that are out there, and so parents, if you're sitting in the audience, and students, please encourage your peers and your classmates to go ahead and sign up. Last but not least, the state of the district. I want to really take this opportunity to thank everyone who turned out for our third annual State of the District event just this past week. We had great participation from Spring ISD partners and community members, and I want to say that it was a privilege to be able to share some of the great things that we have going on in our district. This event made it even more special because we had it in our very own Randall Reed Center. Now, this is probably one of the first times we haven't had to go out and rent a facility or ask someone else to use our facility. Thanks to you all, our patrons, we were able to host this event within our district. In the coming weeks, I'll be sharing the presentation to other employees and community groups, but once again, I want to say thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask a new principal that we have in the district, Dr. Claire Resilia, to please stand. As many of you know, actually you can come forward. As many of you know, our principal at Hearst Elementary School retired. And so we gave him a wonderful send-off as he's dedicated so many years to education. And we are very pleased to formally introduce to you our new principal of Hearst Elementary School, Dr. Claire Resilia. She began her education career in the Philippines before coming to the United States, where she got her first teaching job in 2006 in the neighboring Aldine ISD school district. She joined the district here in 2014 as a multilingual program coordinator for secondary schools before returning to Aldine to become an assistant principal. Well, we were able to lure her back in 2018, and we are very pleased that she is now leading our Hearst Hawks. She earned her bachelor's degree in mass communications and elementary education from St. Teresa's College in the Philippines and a master's degree in educational administration from Lamar University in Beaumont. In addition, she earned her doctorate in educational leadership from Sam Houston University. Let's give her a warm welcome. We'd like to ask you just to say a few words.
Yes, to President Newhouse, to our distinguished board members, and of course, Dr. Watson, Dr.
Hill, Dr. Hinojosa, and of course my assistant superintendent, Michelle Starr. I have actually already started, and it's yesterday was my 1 month being a principal. And it is truly an honor to be able to serve Spring ISD. And the commitment that I had to Dr. Watson was that I'm going to make sure that I will be staying there for more than 10 years because we need consistency. Let me just say that this opportunity really speaks of what education can do. Education as a great equalizer. Never in my wildest dream as a young girl growing up in the Philippines did I imagine that I would one day lead the schools. But as I have said during my interview, that when God calls, He equips. And I truly believe that this is a calling. If I have to quote Dr. Goffney during the HABC, she said that education, our work as educators, is not a mission. It is a ministry. Because in mission, you go out there one time and you leave. In ministry, you stay and you continue the work. And I am truly thankful that I am given this opportunity to really show that faith without works is dead. And every single day, whatever challenges we have, I know that this is a calling, this is a ministry, and I am so grateful to be in partnership with you all. Thank you.
So now you see why we hired her. Okay, really last but not...
Here.
Her family's here? Yes, please stand.
Let me acknowledge my family.
Okay, yes. We like family, yes. So last but not least, today we were very excited that TA announced the nominations for the 2020 Blue Ribbon Schools, and for the first time in the history of Spring ISD, we have one school that was nominated, so we'd like to celebrate Robertson Middle School for their nomination as a Blue Ribbon School.
I know we have some representatives in the room.
Please stand.
Robertson,
If you're from Robertson, please stand. Yes. We are so proud of your accomplishments. Thank you all so much for all that you do on behalf of our students. That finally does conclude my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. Yes, that was a lengthy report, but we did enjoy and appreciate your sharing all of that with us. So at this time, I'd like to recognize trustees, see if you have anything that you would like to share with us tonight.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Trustee. The Texas School Black Caucus gives scholarships out every year, and this year I'm very excited because as far as the Southern region is concerned, there's always competition. Really, Aldine always take the numbers as far as folks applying. But this year, Spring stepped up. Of course, Westfield had the most that applied for the scholarship. So, looking forward to seeing who's going to be the winner from the Southern region. Of course, our president is one of the judges this year. She's not judging our region. But I just want to just commend Spring for applying for the scholarships. We would apply for the Teacher of the Year and Administrator of the Year, so now I had to nominate somebody else for another district. So don't be mad at me, this person is selected, but I gave Dr. Watson an opportunity to nominate somebody, and we did not. Thank you. Thank you. So good job, Spring, and Westfield in particular.
We had a great month, and I just wanted to comment on the state of the district. It was an amazing event. We had a lot of our stakeholders and our legislators that were present to see our new facility. We didn't have to rent or pay to house it anywhere. It was just really amazing. One of the things that I liked most was our MCs were our own students.
Yes.
And they were funny and articulate and made us laugh, and it was just a wonderful event, and it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to be there and witness it. It was extremely professional. I want to thank our communication committee who did an amazing job again this year. And Dr. Watson gave a great state of the district. And so in addition to that, I also attended the showdown between our drill teams with the Starlets, the Lariats, and the Diamonds from Dekaney. And they did an amazing job. They've won a lot of awards this year in competition, took first place at several competitions. I was there with Madam President Newhouse, and I was really excited about the young ladies and what a great job that they did. So I wanted to share that with my colleagues in the audience this evening.
I wanted to share an amazing musical performance by elementary students in Spring ISD at Spring High School this last week. There was so much talent, and it was district-wide. 6 students from every elementary school in Spring ISD got together for workshops, and there were outside mentors, instructors who directed the students, and there were choir students as well as Orff Ensemble. One thing I really enjoyed was that the children did like dance moves and finger clicks and all kinds of things along with the performance. It was just a wonderful performance. And the other thing is, when I walked into the auditorium at Spring High School for this, it was packed. I had a hard time finding a seat. I really want to thank all those elementary families that supported their students. It was so much fun seeing 3 generations in that auditorium celebrating the talent of their students. It was a great occasion. I'd like to also comment about the state of the district. We had a great turnout. As Trustee Durant mentioned, our students that were our MCs, we also had some student performers, and they did an excellent job. I think what really I enjoyed the most were the videos of our parents. The parents that have chosen to place their students in our district. It brought tears to my eyes about how passionate they were about what Spring ISD is doing for their children and their families. So I think that was a great touch, and those parents, again, were extremely passionate about putting their kids in Spring ISD. So thank you for that. It was really, really well done.
Isn't that performance on online? I thought I saw the videos on our website.
Yeah.
So if anybody would like to see some of what happened, please go to our website, and I really highly recommend those videos as well.
So I had the opportunity the same night that Justine was watching the laureates do their thing to attend the grassroots meeting of TASB's grassroots meeting of the Gulf Coast Association of School Boards, where we are determining our legislative priorities for the next session. And Trustee Davis and Dr. Jensen will be representing our region on what's called the LAC. It's the Legislative Action Committee, where we go to Austin before the session and advocate for public schools and advocate for our students and teachers. And so I just want to thank them for their service on the LAC. It's something I have not been able to do yet, and I aspire to do it. But I want to, Chris Bill used to always talk about the importance of voting and discourse, and so I will be the champion on this board for active engagement and participation in our legislative process every biennium. I know we don't really cover this very much in civics anymore, but the way laws get made and the way the rules get made is important, and we all have a part to play in that.
I had an opportunity to visit 2 high schools to attend their signing for athletes on February 5th, the first day of signing. I went to Spring High School, where they had quite a few young ladies that signed for scholarships that day. It was very impressive. And I also went to Westfield High School, and I met some outstanding young men that signed scholarships for Westfield. And when I say outstanding, we made some history that day. We have researched and found out that Westfield High School signed 3 athletes to the Navy Academy. The only school in the U.S. right now to sign 3 students to a football team for the Navy. So we want to make sure that we recognize them and thank them for their service and their hard work, coaches and athletes this year at all of our high schools. Thank you. So thank you to my trustees for your information tonight. At this time, I would like to move to our points of pride. So I would like to recognize our Chief Communications Officer, Tiffany Dunn Oldfield.
Good evening, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, and the key members of the board. That was a perfect segue to our next section, as we are truly excited to have with us tonight a special delegation of Westfield High School Mustang varsity football team. And with that, for our point of pride, I'd like to ask the board members, Dr. Watson, to come down to our
And now with the mic on, led by head coach Matt Meekins and his fellow coaches, the Mustangs had a tremendous run this year, ending the season with an overall record of 13 wins and 2 losses. They also went undefeated in District 16 play with a 7-0 record. At this time, I would like to call Coach Meekins and the Westfield players forward to stand next to the podium for the presentation of our Point of Pride. Also, Principal Mason, come on up. We're going to get you to face the front. Principal Mason, too? All right. As our board, our cabinet, and our entire community knows, Westfield has a long tradition of representing our community well on the football field. And this year's accomplishment of going all the way to the state semifinals truly brought excitement and pride to our area. We're incredibly proud of all of this team for their hard work and heart shown both on the field and on their campuses as school leaders. With the team standing here, I'd like to read out a few highlights about the Westfield Mustang team that will really drive home why Westfield is such a powerhouse in Texas football. As state 16-6A football semifinalists, Westfield ranks among the best football teams in Texas, making it into the final 8 of over 250 teams competing in Conference 6A last fall. An especially impressive achievement in considering how competitive Texas football is. Over the last several seasons, Westfield has been on a streak of 32 district wins and a streak of 4 straight district championships. This season, 26 Westfield players were named to the 16-6A Academic All-District team. 22 players were named to the 16-6A All-District team, and 6 players were named to the Padilla Pole All-State team. And Coach Meekins here was named to the Padilla Pole 6A Division II Coach of the Year, and Coach Meekins was also named to the Touchdown Club of Houston Coach of the Year finalist. Lastly, the team members standing before you are part of a very elite group for Westfield, leading and representing one of 4 teams in Westfield history to reach state finals. Congratulations to this team on their point of pride.
I see some outstanding athletes here, Coach. So before you have a word to say, I would like for them to have a word to say, because I see some young men. I saw you guys at your banquet and at the signing, so I know I have my Navy Academy signees here. So I would like for them to tell us where they're going, and just, I want to shake your hand. So, we'll start with you.
My name is Leonard Cummins. I'm going to the United States Naval Academy with 2 of my brothers, and just want to be a man when I grow up. My name is Marcus Moore. I will be attending the Naval Academy on a full scholarship. I chose the Naval Academy because it gives me every opportunity to better myself as a man in life.
My name is Timothy Hardeman. I will also be attending the Naval Academy, and one thing I can say that Westfield taught me is how to be a better person and to fight through adversity. And it taught me the camaraderie of having your brother support and always having people behind you.
I'm Malachi Jones. I'll be attending the University of Tulsa, and I'm just glad I was able to grow up these past 4 years with guys like this here. That's all.
Guys, we are proud of you and the Westfield Mustang team. Thank you. And Coach Meekins, I have to pass this on to you.
Thank you.
As coach, and say thank you for all of your hard work, you and your coaches and staff. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I know you are proud. You have something to say, Coach? Go ahead.
I want to thank everyone, starting, the Board of Trustees and our district administration, our leadership, starting with Dr. Watson, our campus administration led by Mr. David Mason. Really had a great year this year. It was lots of fun, and it starts up here and back there with you guys, and this whole community rallying behind us. So it was special, and like these guys, they're moving on, and these moments don't last forever. They're going to turn the page, and we're going to move forward. But these were our captains, and they were great leaders for us, and I appreciate these guys.
Hey, Coach Mitchell, mention about the academic stage. You got some good things in academics, too. The overall group.
Oh, overall, we had, 26 guys on the district academic team, and then we had a few other guys that barely missed it, so a lot of good things going on across the street over here.
Congratulations. This is awesome. We're gonna take
Spring War, we're gonna get you guys in here.
The red looks perfect.
All right, guys, very good right here. Here we go. Hang on. Hang on, back up 1/2 step here. All right. Here we go. Nice smiles, everybody. Perfect. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our Booster Club president's here.
Yes. We'd also want to recognize, I think we have one parent here from Westfield football.
Oh, two.
Two, please stand. Please stand.
We have...
We actually have our Booster Club president.
Booster Club president. Mayor Cummings II.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our point of pride, and I think there's a spotlight. Did you want to, for the board members? Do you know if... Matt, are you doing the point of the spotlight? Did you need, where did you want the board members? Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Newhouse, Dr. Watson, members of the board and cabinet. We're excited today to spotlight the Science and Engineering Fair. Tonight, you may have seen as you had come in, a number of our students were here in the audience with their presentations. We had a great turnout of students, and many of them are also winners who are advancing to the regional competition. So the fair was on January the 14th. It really ties into the work we're doing to make sure that we're reaching every student and supporting the excellent curriculum framework with clearly defined expectations as laid out in our Every Child 2020 plan. The science fair was integrated into our curriculum and included all of our middle schools participated, and there were over 80 total entries in the fair at the district level. Most of the campuses also had their own campus fairs, and from those winning entries advanced to the district level fair. There were a number of categories, as you can see there, covering multiple areas in science and engineering. From the district fair, of those 80 entries, each category had first, second, and third place. There were a total of 29 district-level winners who were awarded trophies, 9 honorable mentions, and 10 of these winners do qualify to advance to the regional competition at the George R. Brown Convention Center on February 14th and 15th. So 7th and 8th grade students are eligible. So we know many of those 6th grade students who were winners, they're excited next year to come back and advance that regional competition. From the regional competition, students will have the opportunity to win scholarships as well as advance to the state competition that held at Texas A&M and potentially even the national competition in California. So we do have a number of students here tonight, so I'd like for them to stand so we can recognize them. From the winners here, you can see that by the various categories, so lots of different projects, and students were able to pick the categories. Some were group and some were individual presentations for their projects. We did have a Best in Show, which was Erosion in Motion by Miles Williamson, and he's going to just come up for a second and tell us what he learned from his project. Miles, could you come up? I apologize. Miles? So Miles looked at dirt and looking at urbanization and the effect that it has on erosion. So can you come up and tell us, Miles, what did you learn from your project? The microphone's right up here.
For my project, I learned that humans have a very large impact when it comes to plants and the environment around us, and we should be careful when we start urbanizing soil to make room for buildings, because that involves a large factor in erosion and flooding.
And so he also is one of the advancers who will be advancing to Georgia Brown, and he feels very confident that his odds are good to walk away from that. So thank you very much, Miles, for coming up. And Miles was one of the winning from Twin Creeks Middle School. Additionally, we do want to recognize the parents who are here this evening. We know all the support that went into their students and making sure that their students' projects were successful. So if you could please stand, parents. And any teachers and curriculum specialists who are here that supported the fair, if you could stand. And that concludes it. We know that there's a lot of potential and a great first round with our district for science district engineering fair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I know I see some future scientists and engineers and doctors in this group. So I want to get to know them before they become that famous. So will you have your students stand up one more time and please give us your name? Name and school and project. Please stand up. We'll start with the gentleman in the front row here. Yes.
My name is Frank Halayo. We were doing a project generation social media.
All right. Why?
Robertson Middle School, right?
Robertson.
The young lady?
Go ahead and tell us your name, sweetie, and the school and the name of your project, okay? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And what about you, sweetie? Really loud so we can hear you, so your parents can hear you too, okay?
My name is Blake Herndon. I'm from Duke Middle School, and my project was the Christmas.
That's great. Okay, we're going to go right behind you.
My name is Mark Howard, and I was going to explore adventures.
Excellent.
I did a Florida experiment and I'm from Springfield.
Excellent.
My name is Ross Williams, and I'm from Creeks, I did erosion.
That's great. And then right behind you. Excellent. Great. And what school, sweetie? Robertson Middle School? Great. Excellent. And then we'll come up here to the front row. 5-second rule. Excellent. I know what that is.
My name is Tasha Lane. I'm from Spring Creek Middle School, and I did secondary professional.
Great.
My name is Carly Flo. I go to Spring Creek, and I did a project on Texas First Edition.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And I noticed some of your projects on the outside here in the hallway when we came up this evening, and I'd like to ask if you will leave them so the rest of our board trustee members will have an opportunity to see your projects as well. So if you don't mind, please leave them, and you can get them tomorrow. It'll be okay. I think Dr. Jensen, she's a scientist for our board. I'd like to have her share a few words of congratulations.
I can't tell you how excited I am that Science Fair is getting to be a thing again. And also I'm excited that it is both our comprehensive middle schools and our specialty middle schools that are providing the instruction and the opportunity for you to show off your skills and knowledge. I'm very excited about your topic, so I didn't get a chance to see the posters, and I just love to see how you come up with your ideas and measure things. I think we've already said how valuable I'm a little prejudiced here because we're kind of a family of nerds, engineers and scientists, but I can tell you that that is a field that when you go to college, people pay you to go, that we found out as parents, and we're very grateful that our daughters like science. And they even encourage you to go to graduate school paid, and they offer you jobs and research opportunities, and you really get to explore cool stuff. And you get to travel all over the world quite often in your topics. I'm just so excited for you all. That's it.
If I could
Thank you, Dr.
sort of echo Dr. Jensen.
Sure.
When I was an undergraduate, there was a young man who created his own degree program, and his degree was in saltwater intrusion, which is the way that pumping fresh water out of the ground sucks in salt water from coastal regions, and he became a world-renowned expert at that. He travels the world and does work in desalination, and I just, like, the opportunities for you guys are just limitless, and so I want to encourage you to keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we're going to hear great things from you guys in the future because you still have a few more years with us to share. So we appreciate you. Thank you. You may be seated. And thank you, parents, for bringing them and coming out tonight. Thank you. So our next item is agenda participation. This item allows members of the public an opportunity to speak on agenda items before these items are considered by the board. Chief Bill, do we have anyone registered to speak under agenda participation?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Okay. So we will move to public hearing for Spring Independent School District Texas Academic Performance Report.
Madam President, you want to dismiss the young scholars?
Yes, sir. Just a moment. Okay. So at this time, I'd like to recognize our Assistant Superintendent for Research, Accountability, and Testing, Dr. Jennifer Cobb. And as Dr. Cobb comes to the podium, anyone who would like to be dismissed at this time, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
I'll not be offended.
I can clear a room, right?
Some of us love data.
Oh, well, maybe next year. Are we ready? Yes. Okay, I hear the crowd dissipating, so we'll get started. Okay. President Newhouse, Board of Trustees, members of Cabinet, Dr. Watson. Tonight we're going to, we went over this in detail on Thursday. Tonight we're just going to do a quick review and leave some time for questions if you have any after you've had a chance to now look at it in more detail. So the Texas Academic Performance Report, or the TAPER, is the annual report produced by TEA. It's disaggregated by ethnicity, economically disadvantaged status, English language learners, and special ed status. And we are required to have a public hearing about it based on the Texas Education Code, Chapter 39, Section 39. So as you will remember, we started off with the district profile, which showed the ethnic distribution of our students. We are majority Hispanic, which is a smaller percentage representation than the region and the state, and a larger African American population with a smaller white population percentage. And looking at the ethnic composition of our students and teachers in comparison, for African American, we are relatively equally represented. For Hispanic, we have a lower representation of teachers compared to students, and for white, it's the opposite, where we have a higher representation of teachers compared to students. And we discussed also economically disadvantaged status, that we are currently at 70.1%, so we are more economically disadvantaged than the region and the state. However, as we noted last time, based on our PM snapshot, we should be at 82.7% next year. So you'll see a large increase this next year. Then moving on to the academic portion of the presentation, we discussed the approaches, meets, and master's grade level of STAR. And to go over kind of quickly, for the most part, we had a lower performance rate than the region and the state on most indicators. However, we did see an increase in our own performance year over year. So now we will be starting with STAR and STAR EOC reading at the approaches level, where we had an increase in all students in every ethnic group reported. In math, we had the same, with white being an increase in all groups, with white being equal. In writing, we had an increase for all groups. In science, we had mixed results, with it staying steady for all students in African American, an increase in Hispanic, and a decrease in white and Asian. And then looking at social studies, we had an increase in all students in every reported group. Now looking a little bit differently, this is all students at the approaches level, by all students and by race groups, and we had an increase year over year for all groups. And in this look, we also took a special look at special ed economically disadvantaged and our English language learners, who also showed an increase over time. Going to the meets level now, again, we had an increase in all students in every level. And looking at the special populations, we had an increase in every level, with English language learners being equal between 2017 to 2019.
Now looking at the highest level, performance level in STAR, which is the master's level, we again saw an increase in all students in every ethnic and race population, as well as the special populations that we were reporting. When moving on to growth, so for growth measures, it's only in reading and math because they have consecutive assessments year over year. So you will see that we had a decrease in growth scores for every group except for Asian that remained the same. And looking at math, it was a decrease in every group, with white staying the same and Asian with a slight increase. Now moving to AP and IB results, we first looked at the first bar graph with the percent tested, and as you can see, we have increased over from 2015 to 2018. We provided on the right-hand side a table to show you the number and students behind those percentages, and then you can also see that the percentage of scores meeting the criterion, which is a 3 or higher, has decreased over time. However, when you look at the number tested to the number of criteria, more students are reaching that criteria. And looking at the SAT and ACT results, we have provided SAT day since 2015, and so we have almost our entire population taking the SAT, which is higher than the state. And looking at the SAT results for ELA writing, you can see that we have increased for every all student groups and every race and ethnic group reported. And then for mathematics SAT, we had an increase in all students in every category except for Hispanics. Now moving to advanced course and dual credit course completion, you'll see a large increase for all students in our race and ethnic populations that are reported. We again looked at the subgroups for this indicator, and again saw an increase in every category, with special education outpacing the region. This is the graduation report. 2018 is the first year of the House Bill 5 graduation plan, which is the one in the lighter blue. And as you can see, the majority of our students graduated on the foundation plan distinguished level of achievement, which is the highest level of degrees. And then followed by the foundation plan endorsement, which we had more students, a higher percentage graduating than the region and the state in this category, and then the same as the region and the state in the foundation plan no endorsement. And looking at the longitudinal graduation rates, we had mixed results with all students Hispanic, white, and Asian decreasing slightly, and African American increasing. When looking at our special populations, in graduation rates, again, it was mixed with all students decreasing, special ed increasing, economically disadvantaged, and English language learners decreasing. And then for longitudinal dropout rates, we had an increase, which is of dropouts over all students and for all the reported categories, for race and ethnicity, as well as for special ed, and English language learners with economically disadvantaged remaining equal. Going on to what our students are doing once they graduate from high school, the first set of bar graphs is the percentage enrolled in Texas higher education. The data lags quite a bit, with the most recent data being 2016-17. You will see a slight decrease over time, which is following the same pattern as the region and the state, with the second bar graph being the percent completing 1 year of Texas higher education without remediation, and that has been improving over time following the pattern of the region and the state. The next piece we'll look at is the staff profile. Compared to the region and state, our educational aides and our auxiliary staff are comparable to the region and the state. Our teachers have a lower percentage, our professional staff has a higher, and our campus and central administration is somewhat comparable. And I'm remiss not to show on the top is the table that gives the explanation of who falls under each one of those categories. And looking at the highest degree held, our percentage of teachers that have no degree decreased this last year. The percentage of bachelor's degrees increased. Our master's degree and doctorates stayed relatively the same, but they are higher than the region and the state for both degrees. And then for the years of experience, our percentage of beginning year teachers increased. They decreased for 1 to 5 years, and then they stayed relatively the same and somewhat comparable to the region and the state for the 6 to 10, 11 to 20, and the over 20 years experience. And looking at the average salaries by years of experience, you'll see that spring pays more for our teachers. The highest differential we found was in the years 11 to 20 years experience. So that concludes the taper part of the report. So just as the other required reporting that we need to go through quickly is the accreditation status, the report of violent and criminal incidences, the PEIMS financial standard report, and we previously have covered the campus performance objectives. So our accountability rating in 2019 was a C. Our special ed determination needs intervention. Accreditation says we are an accredited district. Our first rating, which is financial, is superior achievement. And then going to the violent or criminal incidences, as we covered this last Thursday, our most frequent codes were number 4 with the possessed, sold, used, or is under the influence of marijuana. In 18-19, we had 362, but however, that does show a decrease from the previous year. And our other largest indicator was fighting or mutual combat, which is PEIMS Code 41, where we had 2,004 students, or incidences, not necessarily students, incidences, meaning that a student could be in there more than one time, was 2,004 students, which is a decrease from last year in number and in percentage at 71.2%. So that is a quick rehash of the presentation. Do we have any questions?
I have a couple. How are you, Dr. Cobb?
I'm great.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions. On the special education determination status needs intervention, I know I've seen some reports and we're making some progress on that, right?
Correct.
Okay. I seem to recall that there were some things that we had sort of gotten out of needs intervention status. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Adams. So there were several areas of concern. As you know, there are 89 indicators. How many?
91 and 92.
It's 90 some odd indicators. And we did have 11, 12, and 13 were the indicators that we were under watch and where we were not performing. So we have gotten out of the corrective action in those areas, but the area that is still lagging is our academic achievement, of course, across the board. So we're still working towards improving the students' performance.
Thank you. I also just want to commend you, Dr. Watson, and the team. Because it does look like some of the achievement gaps are closing. And I said this to Justine last year when we talk about like making sustained, substantial incremental growth, right? And so I'm always suspicious of quick turnarounds, where somebody snaps from being a D district to an A district, and then when you ask them how they did it, nobody can say. So I appreciate that we're being intentional and we're making systemic transformational change that will show gradual results as we get better. So I wanted to commend you and your team for that.
We, as trustees, have tracked this for many years and are not surprised at some of the challenges that this data shows. And I would also like to commend Dr. Watson and his team for the systemic change that you have initiated. We have an entire strategic plan that addresses the very problems we see here. So we are addressing these we're in process and seeing progress. I never believe in a single program switching things around or a single person. It really does take an entire network of people at many levels, and they're not all Spring ISD employees. Sometimes they are volunteers who help this happen. I would like to highlight a couple of very promising things I see.
Yes, please.
Could you go to page 25? And this is the advanced course, dual credit course completion.
Sorry, slow driver.
All right. When I see that third point start to converge with regional and state data, that's very exciting to me. That means the acceleration. As a science person, you see that bottom line has a greater steep change rate than the others do, that we are closing in. So this is very, very challenging coursework for our secondary students to be enrolled in these advanced courses and dual credit courses. Very, very challenging. So this is, to me, a performance measure of our district and where we're succeeding. The next page, on page 26, shows the same kind of convergence on that third point, where we are rapidly reaching, and it looks like we're going to pass up some of the state and regional data. Also, we just talked about intervention in special education. Look at what the special ed department's doing. That is really, really impressive, I think. Economically disadvantaged kids and English learners are sometimes groups that are a challenge to meet their needs, and it looks like we're doing it. So I just want to congratulate us on those areas.
And just keeping in mind that economically disadvantaged, at least when this analysis was done, is 70% of our district. So keeping in mind that that's a great percentage of our district that's represented there.
I mean, even the other thing that you're calling out the pages, our graduation rates and the HB5 is a more rigorous standard, and we're beating that and closing achievement gaps at the same time. I mean, it speaks to like what we talk about, sustainable systemic change, not just a one-off that happens one year when you have a group come through. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is an impressive report here, and we're pleased with the increases that we are making. Thank you. Ms. Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak to this agenda on the public hearing tonight?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Okay. As there are no other items under public participation, I will now move to our public hearing for full-day pre-kindergarten request for partnership proposals. So, Dr. Hinojosa?
Thank you, Ms. Newhouse, and Dr. Watson, and members of the board. Thank you for the recognition on this work. We appreciate it. We know we've got to do more. It is small, incremental pieces, but know that we know we've got to do more. And our children deserve more, and we're working towards that, and we will achieve that. On our pre-K, as we talked last week, our state in House Bill 3 requires that all districts offer a full-day pre-K. That requirement began this school year for 2019-2020. Spring ISD was not prepared to offer a full-day pre-K as we needed time to assess our facilities to ensure we had capacity in every in every building, and also needed to implement a request for proposals for partnerships within our area to partner with us to offer a full-day pre-K. We have posted our RFP requesting partnerships to be able to complete the full-day pre-K. Unfortunately, we did not have any other partners that took us up on that offer. We will continue to partner with Avance, and they've made the commitment to expand their partnership with us. Additionally, partners that did respond are actually qualifying for the after-school daycare program the RFP that we have out there. Therefore, we've met the requirements of the state, and we are asking that the board approve the request for a waiver not to offer full-day pre-K this school year, the 2019-2020, and we are prepared as a district to offer full-day pre-K in all of our 25 elementary campuses beginning 2020-2021.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. Ms. Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak to this agenda under public hearing?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Okay. As there are no speakers on this item for tonight, I will now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the 2019 through 2020 request for partnership proposals and full-day pre-kindergarten exemption waiver request as presented by the administration.
Madam President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the 2019-2020 request for partnership proposals and full-day pre-kindergarten exemption waiver request as presented by the administration.
It's been moved by Jana Gonzalez, second by Kelly Hodges, that the Board of Trustees approve the 2019-2020 request for partnership proposals and full-day pre-kindergarten exemption waiver request as presented by the administration. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Our next item is the consent agenda. I will now entertain a motion to approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda. And for our guest in the audience, the consent agenda was covered during our work session this past Thursday very thoroughly. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all the items listed on the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Winfred Adams, second by Deborah Jensen, that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Next is the public participation portion of our meeting. Chief Hill, do we have anyone registered to speak under public participation?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hill. The Board of Trustees will now recess this open session and convene in a closed meeting in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.071, for the purpose of a private consultation with the Board's attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized. Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.074, for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. And Texas Open Meeting Act, Section 551.076, for the purpose of considering the deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel or devices or a security audit. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in the closed meeting will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. The time is now 8:12 p.m. Oh, that's Jason. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to briefly correct the record regarding the voting results of the pre-K waiver, as I didn't look around the room clearly. The results of the vote were 6 in favor and 1 abstention. Trustee Durant abstained. Mr. Sheffer, please correct that and ensure that the minutes reflect the correct voting results. Thank you. So we will now address the items discussed during closed session. Are there any motions?
Madam President, I move that the board render a final order to terminate the contracts of Ellen Perkins, Sharonda Osby, Brian Wilson, Charlotte Thomas, and Danilo Martinez, as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Second.
It's been moved by Deborah Jensen, second by Justine Durant, that the board render a final order to terminate the contracts of Ellen Perkins, Sharonda Osby, Brian Wilson, Charlotte Thomas, and Danilo Martinez, as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate at the end of the contract term the probationary contracts of the following employees: James Appia and Antoinette Odoms, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Do you have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Winfred Adams, seconded by Donald Davis, that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate at the end of the contract term the probationary contracts of the following employees: James Appia and Antoinette Odoms, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice to the board's actions to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions? Hearing none. There are no other items on tonight's agenda, so I will now entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
It's been moved by Justine Durant, second by Jana Gonzalez, that the Board of Trustees adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. There's no further business. This meeting is officially adjourned at 9:12 p.m.